So I plan to. So here is my plan. I will begin with a short introduction to the subject to know where we stand, where our approach stands. Then I will define the setup and mention the Kontsevich theorem. In the third part, I will make an explicit computation and define the spectral curve of our model. In the last two parts, I will look at the large N limit and the two critical points. And in the conclusion, I will mention other results that we proved in the paper, but that I don't show. Sorry. So first, let us begin with an introduction. So. We place ourselves in the frame of 2D quantum gravity. So 2D quantum, and in one of the founding papers of this field, Polyakov, following the path integral formalism, managed to give a sense to the unification of general relativity and quantum mechanics. That is to say, you have to put a probability distribution to the set of surfaces on matrix. So he ended up with this path integral schematically. So to each surface, you associate a probability, which is given by this term. And here is the Liouville action. And here is the measure over the infinite dimensional space of fields. But the problem is that first there are terms in the Liouville action that are not really well defined if you talk about distributions, and this measure is ill-defined in the beginning. So there are many approaches to tackle this problem. The first one is the continuous approach, and specifically it was developed by François David, Rémi Rod, Vincent Vargas. So they make sense of this measure. And so they make sense of this measure and of what they call the quantum chaos, multiplicative chaos, e to the gamma phi, because when phi is a distribution, it's the exponential of a distribution is ill-defined. So this is the first approach, first one. Another one is the CFT side. So CFT is defined by its central charge, C. And for some C's, some central charges, you find that you are in minimal models. So some C's, you end with minimal models. And there is a reformulation of minimal models that have been described by Douglas and Schenker. By Douglas and Schenker, and in which the partition function of the minimal models is given by the function functions tau of KdV. For partition function. So here is a second approach, a third one, and we are following one of these approaches, is to discretize the surfaces. So as the measure is ill-defined for an infinite dimensional space, you discretize the surfaces. So you go from a continuous surface to a discrete one, so that you end with a finite dimensional space to integrate over. So there are so the size of the discretization is the size of is the number of faces of your discretization, and when you make the number of faces n go to infinity, you hope that in the continuous this is what we call the continuous limit. You hope that you will find some kind of Liouville theory. So matter coupled to Liouville theory. So there are many ways to discretize a space. You can have models of triangulations. For example, here every face is a triangle or a quadrangulation, or you can add some kind of matter on your discretization, like if you put some spins, plus or minus on every faces, you get the Ising model. Another model is the loop model. So you draw non-intersecting loops on your discretization. So these are ways to put matter on your discretized surface. So we'll follow an equivalent. By equivalent, I say it's in the same universality class. So the same universality class as triangulation. We'll follow this another model, but what I mean by the same universality class is that when we take the continuous limit, we end with the same limit as if we had taken the triangulations, for example. Okay, so we hope to describe pure gravity. So here is where we stand for the presentation. So here I begin with the setup, with describing the setup. So everything's okay. So the setup and the Kontsevich theorem. So for the setup, I define what is a Strebel graph, because we talk about a Strebel graph. So definition: Strebel graph of genus G. What is it? It's a trivalent cellular metric ribbon graph. So every word is important. There are 5 words. So first, I think everyone knows basically what's a graph. It's a collection of points on the edges that connect points between each other. So this is okay. I assume it's okay. Then a ribbon graph is a graph that you can unbend in a two-dimensional surface. In 2D surface. So if the surface is of genus G, then this is the genus. The genus is the number of holes of the surface. The genus is the genus of the graph. Okay. You can take the minimal genus when you can draw it. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was the question, or no? Okay. Then cellular is that every face of the graph is homomorphic to a disk. You don't have some kinds of annulus or something like that. Metric, trivalent, is that every vertex of the graph is of this kind. You have 3 half edges which are adjacent to a node. Okay, so this is the trivalent metric graph. And metric is that to each edge you associate a length LE, positive length. Okay. What I forgot to say is that every face is labeled. Okay, so you assign a number to every face. So that you know which faces correspond to which number. So an example: you take the sphere, okay, and you draw a graph on it, a really simple graph. There are only 3 edges. So the first one, second one, and the last one. Okay, so then you label. So the vertices are trivalent. There are 3 edges adjacent to each vertex. You label every face. So first, I take the same convention as first, second, and third face. Okay, if you draw it in the plane, in the complex plane, you obtain this graph. Okay, with we can label every face like that. So there is the 2 faces here, 1 and 2, and the external face is the third one. Okay, and then you assign length to every edge. So here, for example, 4.15, 3, 7. So here it will be this. I may mention that these lengths are not generically the lengths that you measure in the canonical metric of the sphere. It can be any length. Okay. So here's the example. So now I define some sets. So these are stable graphs. So I define some. We call the size of the graph is the number of faces. So here it has 3 faces, so it has a size of 3. Okay, and then the perimeters P1, Pn, if n is the size, is the perimeter of each face. Okay. So here, for example, P1 is equal to 7.5. Okay. Now I define 2 sets. So SGN, it will be the set of all stable graphs of genus G on size n. Okay, so in the example, it belongs to S03. Okay, and then SGN with the specification of the perimeters, so P1 to Pn is the stable graphs, so the same beginning of genus G size n with perimeters P1, Pn. Okay, So here, for example, it belongs to S03. Okay. Okay. So our example is this. Is it okay? So just to mention the dimension of S0, so graphs that you can draw on the sphere, n is the number of edges, okay, because you can assign a length to every edge. Is 3 n minus 6 equal number of edges. So I can, it's an exercise to determine this, that the number of edges is 3n minus 6. And then you can put a measure on SGN. D mu Gn is the Lebesgue measure on SGN. It's just the product over all the edges for the graph belonging to SGN. Okay, so E of gamma is the set of the edges of the graph. So we will specialize the set of our model. It's a specialization of all the Strebel graph. We don't look at every Strebel graph, possible Strebel graphs. So first, we will look just at planar Strebel graphs. That is Strebel graphs of genus 0. Okay, so here G equals 0. Second point, we will look at isoperimeter Strebel graphs. That is, every face has the same perimeter. Okay, we take L to be strictly positive, and we constrain that all PIs are equal to L. Yeah, I will show you an example. It's possible. Okay, and so we basically look at the set S0 and L, and we want to put some observables to compute some observables on this kind of sets. So what are the observables? First, the volume. Zn of L is the volume of is just the volume of this set S0n with all perimeters equals to L. So that's the first observable. A second kind of okay, so this is it, and we will encode it in generating functions. So in combinatorics, it's common to that. So we define the generating function z mu L as the sum n equals 0 to infinity of mu n over n factorial, then n plus 3 L. So the plus 3 is important here. Other kinds of observables that I define. Are the z n z n plus k l L1 to Lk. What is it? Is that it's like you take isoperimeter Strebel graphs, but for k faces you allow them to have some other perimeters. Okay. So is the volume so for the first n faces you constrain them to be equals to L, and for the k last you constrain them to have the perimeters L1 to Lk. Okay. So it's the volume of S0 n plus k L L1 Lk. So these will be our k point functions, and we encode them in generating functions of this form L1 Lk that I don't write because it will be just it's just the same, defined in the same manner as for the volumes. So let me show you an example of a Strebel graph with isoperimeter to show you that it exists. So I just wait for it to. Okay. So I read the next section. So we'll talk about Kontsevich theorem. It's ordinateur 1. C'est l'ordinateur 1. Okay. So I can give you my computer if you want. It is so if you look at this graph, all the perimeters have you can take it and pass it. All faces have perimeter 1. Yeah, Vincent, c'est pas grave. Désolé, Bertrand, pardon. It's just a piece of Strebel graph. So the questions that arise then, c'est pas grave sinon François. Merci. Questions that arise then is that first, how do we compute all these observables? And second, why should we compute them? Why is it interesting to take this? It seems an intricate model, but we'll see that not so much. So I want to answer these two questions with this section. Merci. So I'll talk about the Kontsevich theorem. So I define MGN is this moduli space of Riemann compact Riemann surfaces of genus G and with n distinct label points. So what are the elements of this space? MGN is the set of all Riemann surfaces sigma of genus G with n distinct mark points Pn, and we take them up to automorphism. Basically, for M0n for n greater than 3, the set of automorphism is equal to identity. So we don't look at this thing. Merci. Okay. We extend this set, the moduli space, to MGN tilde, which is MGN and times R plus to the n. What we do is that we assign to each mark point a parameter positive parameter py. Okay. So MGN tilde is the set of all these the Riemann surfaces of genus G, P1, Pn, with parameters P1, Pn. Then the theorem of Kontsevich. He proved in 1991. He proved this bijection. MGN tilde is in bijection with SGN, the set of Strebel graph of genus G on size n. For us, what is the we are interested in S0n. So more specifically, M0n tilde is in bijection with S0n. I will come back. It's not just this, the theorem of Kontsevich. I'll come back to it in 1 minute. Why is it interesting for us is that we can define a measure on the modular space M0n. Measure on M0n d mu 0n tilde. I give you the definition. So the PIs are the parameters I gave you. I defined before. And what are the psi's? So they are related to. I will show you. So we define n fiber bundles L1 to Ln above M0n tilde. Each fiber, the fiber of Li is the cotangent space of the Riemann surface at point Pi. Okay, so just to show you the definition for those who knows it, it's just to relate it to the fiber bundles. And the TIs are the first Chern class of Li. C1 of Li. Okay. So TIs are two forms. Okay. And if you raise this sum to n-3, it has degree 2n-6. Okay. And this has degree n. So the total degree is 3n-6, which is exactly the dimension of S0n. So it's okay. It's a volume form. It's okay. and what Kontsevich proved is that d n0 n theta, and he proved it for other all the genus actually, is that it's equal to 2n minus 5 n minus 3 factorial d mu 0 n. So we have an equality over the measures. This is really convenient for us. So we'll use this equality. Okay. So it answers to it doesn't answer to how or nor why for the moment, but I define the intersection numbers C1 to the D1 Cn Dn So we want to use this measure, but this measure implies Chern classes. So I define the definition of the intersection numbers is the integral over n0 n c1 d1 cn dn. And what is nice is that for genus 0, they are known. And so this is for genus 0, which is our case. It's equal to n minus 3 factorial d1 factorial dn factorial under the constraint that d1 plus dn equals n minus 3. Okay, so this delta function is really important. So we know all these intersection numbers, which will allow us to compute the observables on S0n. So that's first, it answers to how we compute the observables, and second to why, because just we know these numbers, so it explains why we take this model. Okay. There is a remark I may say also in to prove the theorem. Kontsevich used the Strebel foliation, and we see that actually the metric you have on the edges of your graph can extend to the whole surface, a punctual sphere. So actually, we have more than just a metric, a graph metric, on our graphs, but also a metric on a whole surface. Okay. Just a side remark. So that's the Kontsevich theorem. I will make a short computation to show you how to use this result, these intersection numbers. So that's the third part. Computation on spectral curve. So first, explicit computation. Okay. So I'll show you how to compute the volume Z n plus 3L. Okay. I remember to you, it's the volume we constrain all the perimeters to be equal to L. Okay, so it is the volume of our set. Then we use Kontsevich theorem. So we use Kontsevich. It's equal to 1s over 2n plus 1 n factorial m0 n plus 3 theta Okay. So it's equal to all the PIs have to be equal to L. Okay. So actually it's just an integral over n0 n plus 3 without the tilde. Okay. Okay. So we carry out the integration over the PIs. Then here here. So here we get a 1/2 term coming from this this part. Integration over n0 n plus 3 of e to s square over 4. Why is it equal? Why are the two terms equal? That is that when you expand the exponential, the only non-zero term is this one, because you have for the intersection numbers you have the constraint that d1 plus dn plus 3 has to be equal to n. So you see that you end up just with this term. So you can do this. Then just do this simple manipulation. Ci, and we will see how the intersection numbers arise. Okay, so it's equal to this. Okay, then we expand the exponential. Okay, then you invert the sum and the product, and you have 1/2 sum over d1 plus dn plus 3. They may be equal to n, just because of this constraint of
You have in many steps, but actually just you could have used the Leibniz formula from the first.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. So you end up with, okay. And here you have the intersection numbers of genus 0. So you can use the formula you have here. And here is your result. Okay. Well, so you use this kind of result, this computation, to compute the generating function of the volumes, Z mu L, and you find that it's equal to I0u to the cube to so yeah, exactly. What are the objects in the formula? I0u is the first is a Bessel function of the first type. The definition is just I give it. Okay, so this is for I0. I1 is just the derivative of I0. And what's the parameter u? Because you see that our only parameters are mu and L. U is defined as the solution of this equation, u squared over u0 equals mu L squared. Mu L squared. So here is the definition of u. I will show you a graph of this. Okay. So actually, when you want to compute all the all the observables, you see that they all depend just on the intersection numbers. So knowing all the intersection numbers gives all the observables we want to compute. So this is a remark. So I want to introduce an object that is equivalent to know all the generating functions that we want to compute. Is the spectral curve. So knowing by the procedure of topological recursion, a procedure that was developed by Bertrand Hénard and Nicolas Aurentin. If you know the spectral curve of a model, and for us, it's equivalent to know all the combinatorial data of your model, of some combinatorial data. So you have a spectral curve. You carry out topological recursion, and you can find all the generating functions that you had defined. Okay, so I just introduced the spectral curve, which is an object that encodes all the generating functions that we have defined. So for our model, so what is a spectral curve? Is the data of a Riemann surface, not necessarily compact nor genus 0, two analytical functions, analytic from L to C, to the complex plane, and two form B, that is the Bergman kernel, basically, if you know L, you know B. So here we want to know L on X and Y. Okay. So this is a spectral curve. For us, what is the spectral curve? How do we find it? How do we find it? So I told you that all the generating functions can be computed thanks to to intersection numbers, but the intersection numbers have been computed by Kontsevich, all the intersection numbers, and the generating function for intersection numbers is a tau function of KdV. Okay. So generating function of all intersection numbers it's a function tau of KdV. And here we can compute all our observables with intersection numbers. And actually, we specialize the tau function of KdV to special times. Okay, so to know what times we have to take, it's described in the excellent book of Bertrand, Counting Surfaces. Of Bertrand Hénard, chapter 6. So you can find how to specialize the times to find the nice tau function. And actually, the spectral curves, you can find it just knowing the tau function of KdV. So for us, I don't explain how you obtain it, but I give you the spectral curve. The Riemann surface is just the sphere. It's C bar. So it's of genus 0. X of Z, it's given by this U over S square. Y of Z is so here I write it to show you that Bessel functions are everywhere. Okay. So once you know, I told you that once you know the Riemann surface, you know the Bergman kernel. Here, the Bergman kernel, I give it to you for genus 0. It's dz1, dz2, z1 minus z2 squared. So here is the spectral curve of our model, and it's equivalent to know all the generating functions actually. Okay. So I want to show you what it looks like. So, So I may pass you the the computer. So it's you can move the arrows 17 times if you want to know. If you turn, actually you see that the spectral curve depends on the parameter u, okay, which depends on mu and L squared. So if you change the parameter u, you may change the spectral curve, okay. So here are you see the value of u at the top of the graph, and if you move it, you will see how it evolves. Okay, so I'll let you.
With you?
What? Yes, with you. So it's just the projection of the spectral curve in the real plane. Okay. So it will x and y. Yeah. Okay. So you see that generically. The spectral curve. So here, if you make a projection on the real plane for x and y, generically the spectral curve looks like that. Okay, for u under 2.858. Then if you move u towards this value, 2.58, you will see that the curve has a cusp here, so it's singular. And then if you, so this is for u equals 58. And then if you move it again above, the spectral curve has again a regular form. Okay, so you can see that on the images. Okay, so there is something happening at u equals 2.58. Yeah.
So topological recursion allows you to compute these objects, but allows you to compute an expansion. An expansion in which parameter?
You can compute the expansion in the parameter. It will be in the big N. You know the size of the no. Yeah, actually the expansion will be in n to the 2 minus 2g. No.
You just pick the correlation function of p
what is the problem? Is that you think it's not possible to make an expansion here at this?
No.
It's
I have a more naive question.
Okay.
Usually, topological recursion is to generate some series.
Yeah.
And I didn't see which was the parameter.
The parameter of our series is mu for us.
Is mu.
But for topological recursion, I'm not sure it's mu. It's
No, it's when you want to do genus expansion, but here you invest the dimension zero.
yeah. Okay, we'll come back to this after. So here there is a singular value at u equals 2.58. Actually, you see that it's also there is also a problem in this generating function when the denominator is equal to 0. There is again a graph in the images. You see that there is a problem when you reach this critical value, so which is defined by 2 I1 of UC equals I0 of UC equals UC I1 of UC. Okay, so here there is a critical point, and this is the value, the solution of this equation is exactly UC equals 2.5844, etc. Okay, so it's the same value as for the singular curve.
You can go above it.
You can go above it, but just you can go above it, but just it's not singular above it. It's not. It's just singular at this point.
Then you see it's negative.
What? The z is yeah.
Or z is zero.
Yeah, the z is negative then. Yeah, so it's a problem.
Which
Yeah.
is not expected.
No.
With mu on that square real, there is no solution for above it.
Yeah, because if you draw this curve, mu L squared. Yeah, exactly. So at UC you are here, and there is a maximal value. So there is something happening at UC. So it's a critical point. I may finish in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes. So it's the last section actually. So you see the solution of this equation. So large n limit so when you are close to u equals UC, you can make a blow up of this of the spectral curve. So you rescale x on y on z. Okay. Rescale x, y, z. So you take these scalings. Zeta x uc minus u minus 3 zeta. So here when you rescale x on y, you see that you obtain, if you look just at the regular part, zeta square minus 2 and zeta cubed to minus 3 zeta, you can define a spectral curve x tilde and y tilde to be precisely equal to this and this, which is completely irregular. It looks like exactly like the original one, actually. Okay. So it looks like this. And what is it? It's exactly the spectral curve of the minimal model 3.2 in the formulation of Douglas-Schenker. So spectral curve of 3.2 minimal model. So in the formulation in terms of integrable systems of Douglas and Schenker. So it's central charge 0. So it may describe pure gravity. So it's what is the universality class of 3.2 minimal models. So we showed that actually, if you have these scalings, this critical point, we showed that all our generating functions, all our observables, have a continuous limit, and they are given by the pure gravity correlation functions. So we showed first this, and so it's a really short part. So, and you see that there are some exponents here, 1/2 and 3/2, and they correspond to KPZ, to KPZ exponents of the 3.2 models, coupled to addressed by gravity. So here, KPZ. So we showed this. And so all our observables have a continuous limit, admit a continuous limit. But we showed a bit more. Like we showed more. We computed exactly correlation generating functions for the 1-point correlation functions, for example. We looked also at some special regime when you take one perimeter large when you make the number of faces go to infinity, so the perimeter goes to infinity also. So we looked at different regimes, and in the conclusion, I want to make a little counting of the observables, the base of observables we looked at. So we looked at all the observables implying intersection numbers. Okay. So all the intersection numbers are defined with Chern classes. So see, for n faces, you have n Chern classes. So a base of observables, if you want, is psi1, psi n. So we get n base of n observables. But in our setup, we had how many observables could we make? We had lengths assigned to each edge. Okay, so how many edges do we have? So edges, we have 3n minus 6 edges. So potentially 3n minus 6 observables, but we have a constraint is that for all faces we require to have a perimeter L. So n constraints. So we have two n minus 6 independent observables for the base. So we have computed all the observables implying this n base vector base observables. So we are liking like n minus 6 observables. So we have computed half of the observables, possible observables in our space. So what does happen for these observables? Do they admit, for example, a continuous limit? Or we can ask this question. So thanks for your attention, and if you have questions.
What is the other half?
We didn't, for example, we didn't look at any distance in the graphs. For example, we could look at the distance between 2 points, 2 random points in the graph. So we didn't look at that at all. So I think there.
That's a very pedestrian question. I do not know all this business, but if you are an outsider, you would think maybe making this calculation without the conservation theorem in the beginning looks simpler because you have a lot of sophisticated mathematics in it. And have people also tried to calculate these generating functions by brute force? Constraint the back integrals or whatever.
I don't think so. Yeah, you can do it with matrix matrix models, for example. So that's actually Kontsevich made at this theorem in order to compute the intersection numbers. But we are using in the other side actually.
Yeah.
So he uses way more simpler, I say.
Don't have a good understanding of what the Chern number is. Is there a kind of pedestrian way to understand this?
Yeah, I think so. You can define the dual of Strobel graph, which would be a Kontsevich graph, and it can be computed with matrix models, lambda matrix models.
Think that if you put an electric charge in the center of each face with charge pi, then the charge class is the electric field. Is what? The electric field.
So here you take all these lengths to be equal. Are there different distributions on the lengths that equally doable in some sense?
Surely, I don't know. Really, I don't know. I think, yeah, surely.
You did not say much of it. The title was UV, but probably.
Is that the 3-2 minimal model coupled to UV theory actually? So, it's, yeah. So actually, when we say dressed by when I said dressed by gravity, it's like a 3-2 model coupled to UV. Sorry. Is it okay? Thank you.